If you're 55 and older and you've saved $500,000 or more, you've probably asked this question: how much can I safely spend during retirement without running out of money or impacting my lifestyle? And what happens if the stock market crashes early on during my retirement? Most advice gives you one number, like 4%, and hopes that reality just cooperates for you. Here's the catch. Two retirees, they can have the same portfolio, the same average returns, and both of them follow the same 4% withdrawal rule, while one comes out okay and the other one, they run out of money. In this video, I'm going to do two things. I'm going to explain the sequence of risk in plain English and how the sequence of risk can really disrupt that 4% rule of thumb. Then I'm going to show you how we address this problem. I'm going to show you this on screen, and it's what we call the guardrail system. This system adjusts your retirement income up and down based on how your portfolio is doing in real time. Hi, I'm Zach Poitra, and I'm a fiduciary financial advisor based out of Colorado Springs. I work with households that have saved between about $500,000 to several million for retirement, and households that really want a clear, flexible income plan that takes into consideration things like markets, pensions, rental income, possibly annuities, and taxes, such that they have a true 360-degree view of their retirement. Before we get into it though, I have a quick disclaimer. This video, this is not financial advice, this is not tax advice, nor is it legal advice. Be sure to sit down with a financial professional who understands your entire financial situation before you make any financial decisions. Most retirement advice sounds like this: just take 4% a year, or set a fixed budget and stick to it. Or maybe a combination of both. The problem is your life isn't fixed. Markets go up, markets go down, medical costs pop up, and travel plans, they change. If we lock your income at one number forever, we usually end up doing one of two things. Set that income number too low, and you live below your means for 20 or 30 years. Or set that number too high, and you're left hoping and praying and stressing out whether or not the market will behave according to your wishes. Now let me be clear about what the 4% rule actually says. That is, in year one of retirement, you take 4% of your total portfolio for income. Then you increase that withdrawal amount to offset inflation no matter what markets do. Historically, for many, but not all, 30-year periods, that approach would have worked for a typical stock and bond mix. So for example, if you have $1 million, year one you would withdraw $40,000. Then if inflation is 3%, year two would increase that withdrawal to $41,200. And then you just keep going, adjusting for inflation each year. This is a useful starting point, but it also quietly assumes that you won't get hurt by the path of returns. In real life, that's where the sequence of returns risk shows up. You see, most people, they focus on average returns. They'll say, if I earn 6% on average and only take out 4%, then I will be fine, right? But in retirement, the order of returns matters more than the average returns. And that is the definition of sequence of returns risk. It's the risk that a bad market hits you early in retirement while you're making those withdrawals for income. Because you're selling shares while the markets are in decline, you lock in losses, and it makes it that much harder to get back to break even. Even if average returns look okay on paper, your actual outcome can look very different. Let me put this into a very simple example. We'll take Alice and Bob, and they both retire with $1 million. Both invest in the same portfolio, and both follow that 4% withdrawal rule. Then, over 25 to 30 years, they experience the same returns. However, those returns come in very different order. Alice, she gets the good return years early in her retirement, and then the bad return years later in retirement. Bob, conversely, Bob gets the bad years of returns early in retirement, and then the good years of return later in retirement. Now, if neither of them are taking money out and they're following the buy and hold strategy for 25 to 30 years, they'll end up in the same place because the math just averages out that way. But that's not how it looks in retirement. In retirement, you're pulling money out every year to live. So Alice is withdrawing money from a portfolio that early on in retirement is actually growing. Then, when a bad year eventually hits, she has a much larger balance to withdraw from. Bob, on the other hand, he's withdrawing money early on from a portfolio that is shrinking because the bear markets are hitting him early in retirement. He's selling more shares at lower prices to fund his lifestyle. And if we fast forward 25, 30 years, Alice may be still living a very comfortable lifestyle and have quite a bit of cushion. However, Bob may be at serious risk of running low, even though they both had the same average return and started with the same amount and following the same rule of thumb. And that's how the sequence of returns risk can quietly break that 4% withdrawal rule of thumb. The market doesn't care that you just retired. If your first decade of retirement happens to be rough and you're drawing a fixed income from your portfolio while adjusting for inflation, that can do real damage to your portfolio and your retirement. So what do most retirees actually do? They spend more money when they feel comfortable, and then they pull back when things feel tight. The question is, can we turn that natural instinct into a plan that is measurable and repeatable while grounded in real math, not just instinct and feelings? And that's where the guardrail income planning method comes into play. Think about driving over a mountain pass. The road is your target retirement income. The guardrails, they're boundaries such that if we drift too far one way, then we correct back the other way, and then again back to the center of the road. This is instead of pretending that the road is straight and smooth. You accept there are going to be curves and there's going to be weather, and you install guardrails to keep you from falling off the cliff. In retirement planning, this means we set a target income that fits your lifestyle and is adjusted for inflation. Then we set an upper guardrail for your income such that if your portfolio balance gets up to that guardrail, you can safely give yourself a raise. Then we set a lower guardrail. If your portfolio gets pressured due to market conditions and your balance falls too much, we make a planned modest cut in income to get you back on track. So instead of a rigid 4% withdrawal rule, we have a living plan that can adapt to sequence of returns both up and down in a controlled way. Now, let me show you exactly how this works in practice by showing you how we implement the guardrail income system using our own planning software. Okay, so let me walk you through a simple fictional sample household plan, and up here at the top is the upper guardrail, and that's really based on this number here on the far left, which is their account balance. If their account balance is 2.9 million or so, that's their upper guardrail, and they can increase their income to $19,700 a month quite safely. Right below that is the current recommendation for their income during retirement, and that's based on their current balance of 2.75 million, and that would safely produce $18,300 a month in income.
Now, the lower guardrail is when markets get rough and maybe the balance goes down to a little over 2 million in assets. Then they have to adjust their income to $17,400 a month because of that market pressure. So the whole point here is, instead of guessing, the system is literally saying, if your balance is here, then you can safely spend more. If your balance drops to here, you've got to dial it back a little bit with this lower income so that you can stay on track. Here at the bottom, we have guardrail settings, and it's currently set right here, smack dab in the middle. If you slide this to the left or lower your spending, then if markets take a downturn, there are less adjustments that need to be made. However, if you're someone who wants to spend a little bit more and we slide that to the right, there just needs to be more willingness to adjust if we encounter a down market. So what this does is allow you to match the plan to your comfort level. Some people want maximum safety. Others would rather spend more now and accept occasional tweaks. The powerful part here is that this is not based on generic growth rates. This software is modeling your actual mix of assets. Now, let me show you what I mean. I'm going to switch over to another screen here. This is the 360-degree view of this household. And as you can see, we have income, assets, liabilities, and expenses. And so what we've done here is we have specific assets and specific accounts where those assets are: taxable account, an IRA account, a 401k account, etc. Then over here on the income side, we click on that and we can see exactly where income is coming from. Here we see pension, they've got a rental, and then withdrawals from the taxable account, from John's IRA, and from Mary's 401k. At this point in time, no Social Security because neither one of them has elected to take those benefits yet. And it's important to point out that we can plug in your specific situation as to where you're receiving income and what types of assets you have in your accounts, such that it is customized to you. So what this software does is take all of these different assets that behave very differently and pulls them all together such that it creates a year-by-year income plan and then applies the guardrails. So when the markets are strong and your asset balances are high, you can afford to increase the income that you withdraw. And then when we hit a bad patch in the markets, we know exactly how much to pull back in terms of income instead of panicking. You're seeing the actual mechanism here that creates the results. We're not just making claims here. This is exactly what the software does.
Now, if you're 55 or older and have saved up at least $500,000 or more in assets, and you want this kind of clarity for your own retirement, here's what I offer. I set aside a limited number of retirement planning guardrail sessions. In that session, we will load all of your accounts and all of your income sources into the software. Then we'll set a target lifestyle income and guardrail settings that fit your comfort level. Show you exactly how your income could adjust over time in both good markets and in bad. From there, you can decide whether to implement the plan on your own, work with your current advisor, or continue with me if you feel like it's the right fit. If that would be helpful, there's a link below this video that will allow you to click directly through to my calendar and set up a time. Now, there's no initial cost for this first session, but spots are limited because I need to service my existing clients well. Again, this is not financial advice, legal advice, nor tax advice. Please go talk to a licensed professional such as myself before making any financial decisions. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe and share with someone who you think might appreciate the content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.